What players should we all be keeping an eye on for the Bucs Week 1 matchup versus the Atlanta Falcons? Let's talk about it. Shout out to Sleeper, by the way, for being the sponsor of this channel. The first guys I want to talk about are on the offensive side of the ball, because right now the Buccaneers find themselves in a situation where their offense is missing some pieces. Chris Godwin is not going to be out there. Tristan Wirfs is not going to be out there. Jalen McMillan is not going to be out there as well. That's three very key pieces to the success overall of this offense, right? So I thought no better three guys to mention than Emeka Egbuka, Sterling Shepard, and Charlie Heck on the offensive side of the ball. Now, we talked about Charlie Heck in a separate video, and I'm not going to completely repeat myself here, but he is going to be your starting left tackle in this game. That's a big deal. Again, you just hope that the dude can go out there and have some fine play overall and get you through the first chunk of the season before Tristan Wirfs returns, okay? Now, whenever we talk about Emeka Egbuka, it's a little bit of a different situation because he is a first-round draft pick. He was the 19th overall pick in the most recent NFL draft for the Bucs. Shocked a lot of people, myself included, but now Emeka Egbuka finds himself in a situation where he is your number two next wide receiver next to Mike Evans. Talk about a big opportunity, right? I feel good about Egbuka being able to go out there and showcase some of that ability that we saw in training camp and in preseason, which is starting wide receiver capabilities. You don't take a guy at number 19 overall and just say, he might go out there and do some okay things overall, right? No, you expect some decent, if not good levels of play from a first round pick, a guy who is a top 20 pick. And I do believe that should be the expectation for Egbuka going forward until Godwin and McMillan are back. Real quick though, guys, I do want to say a quick shout out to the sponsor of this channel. It is Sleeper yet again. If you guys do use the code MrBucs, you get a 100% deposit match up to $100 whenever you do use the code MrBucs. Shout out to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of this channel. But again, Emeka Egbuka is going to be getting a lot more targets than initially expected to begin this season, because once everybody's healthy with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and Emeka Egbuka, yeah, there's going to be less targets for Egbuka to get in that type of scenario. But not just with Godwin participating, but also with McMillan not participating as well, Egbuka really does have a unique chance here to shine early on in this season and have very decent levels of success next to Mike Evans. It'll be a glimpse into the future, really, of what this Buccaneers wide receiver room is going to look like. Because guess what? When Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are done with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the next few years, you're going to have Emeka Egbuka and Jalen McMillan as your wide receivers 1 and 2, right? So this gives you a very good glimpse into what the Buccaneers are going to have going forward with Egbuka. And that's exciting, right? That's exciting because you want to see your 19th overall pick get a chance to make an impact right away. And you do want to see, like, hey, this dude can be an absolute dog for the Bucs for many, many years to come. So that's exciting in regards to all of that. Also, in the case of Sterling Shepard, talk about a guy who was brought in with really low expectations, but turned out to be a lot more, right, in terms of just being a reliable veteran target for the Bucs. Shepard has really had to step up in a lot of situations since he's joined the team, and he finds himself in a similar situation here to where, look, he's going to be the third wide receiver going into this upcoming game. Yes, I do think you're going to see sprinklings of Ryan Miller, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson for some unknown reason, but Sterling Shepard's going to be that next man up behind Mike Evans and Egbuka, and I'm fine with that. I think that Shepard is a reliable guy. I know he's had a couple of drop problems in the past that people got really upset about. I get that, right? But overall, Shepard is still a fine veteran who has a good connection with Baker Mayfield, and you could certainly do a lot worse at your wide receiver 3 than a reliable guy like Sterling Shepard, in my opinion. So again, just to recap here, 3 of the top guys I think we should pay attention to on the offensive side of the ball are Emeka Egbuka, is Sterling Shepard, and Charlie Heck in there as well. Now on the defensive side of things, and the first guy I want to talk about is Haason Reddick, because Haason Reddick, whether it's fair or not, has been touted as the savior of this pass rush, right? And he is a guy that is coming into a situation where he didn't have a good year last year, and he still got this contract from the Bucs. And really, this is kind of coming from the team more than anything. Of we think this dude's going to change the entire dynamic of our pass rush, basically. Yes, Yaya is going to get better and hopefully become more of a complete pass rusher. A lot of people are expecting that as well. Yes, a lot of people in the Buccaneers organization, again, whether it's right or wrong, are expecting Chris Braswell to step up in year number 2. He's another player to pay attention to. We'll talk about him in a moment. But Hassan Reddick was like the big move that the Bucs made in the offseason for the defensive side of the ball, right? Where it was, hey, let's bring in this guy who had 4 straight seasons of double-digit sacks. Yeah, didn't have a great year last year, but we can get him on a value type of contract, and he can go out there and prove it, essentially, right? For the Bucs, for his time to get another big contract here in the NFL, and that's where this all begins. If Reddick goes out there and is hot and is efficient and is able to play really well, that's awesome. I mean, that is beyond awesome. That is just fantastic in terms of the expectations and the, just feeling that I probably would have going forward with the pass rush throughout the remainder of this season. I'm sure a lot of other people would be as well, because right now I'm worried about the pass rush. Yes, they had good numbers on paper. I've talked about it a lot, right? But we need to see more production from these edge rushing linebackers. And if Reddick is able to go out there and live up to this expectation that the team has kind of put on him, and some members of the fan base have put on him as well, that's fantastic. Similar thing with Chris Braswell. Let's talk about him real quick. Former second round pick, was very meh last year, didn't really show up, didn't even really show up a ton in the preseason as well, and he was getting a ton of extended playing time. There's a lot of people who are skeptical about Braswell right now as the number 3 pass rusher, and I'll be honest, I have some doubts in there as well, but the organization has kept on telling us Braswell is going to be good. Braswell is going to make a leap. We have trust in what Chris Braswell is, right? And I do feel like Braswell does have some good abilities as a run stopper, as a guy who can make a couple of splash plays in the run game, but I have not seen it yet in the pass rushing department, okay? And we need to see that, because to be a third pass rusher is still an incredibly big deal here at the NFL in a 3-4 type of defense. Is very similar to a slot cornerback or a nickel cornerback, in my opinion, in today's NFL. It's basically a starting position in my mind because of how much you rotate edge rushers and whatnot. So yeah, you absolutely believe there's going to be a bit of a microscope here on Chris Braswell and how he is going to start this upcoming season. He needs to come out there and have some level of success, because he's going to be that third guy. Yes, you could rotate in Anthony Nelson, but everybody knows what Anthony Nelson is. He's a fine, reliable hand, but he's not going to go out there and completely take over or throw in a ton of, third pass rusher crazy types of plays, right? I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but my point being is this, like, you could just rotate in Anthony Nelson, but you should expect and want Braswell to go out there and live up to all the hype that the Bucs have been giving him, because if not, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pretty season for Braswell if he just continues to be meh and be fine in the run defense, but not great as a pass rusher, because the Buccaneers need him to be a good pass rusher, right? So it is what it is. Finally, folks, just to wrap this up, kind of go into the secondary here, pay attention to Jamel Dean and Zion McCollum, specifically for their health, because right now the Buccaneers are pretty thin at cornerback. Benjamin Morrison is still dealing with injuries. We talked about that in a separate video. Josh Hayes is dealing with injuries. We talked about that in the Benjamin Morrison video. You have Jacob Parrish, who was supposed to play nickel cornerback, but according to Todd Bowles, now he's going to be outside cornerback. Zion McCollum or Tyke Smith is going to be the nickel cornerback in this upcoming game against the Atlanta Falcons. Weird, but okay. It's not my football team. I'm not the head coach. You have Kendall Vidor as a backup outside cornerback as well. You got Bryce Hall on the practice squad. He'll probably get elevated. So you have a lot of guys who, the depth is a little bit shaky right now at cornerback, is what I'm trying to say. You have a couple of guys that are dealing with injuries. Dean and McCollum, they've had injury concerns as well, specifically Jamel Dean, right? So pay attention to them and just their overall health in this upcoming game. hopefully are able to see these guys go through the entire game, be healthy and be productive, right? Because that's obviously when this Bucs defense is at their best, whenever everybody is able to stay healthy and go out there and contribute. Similar thing with Antoine Winfield Jr. as well. But with Dean and McCollum, specifically Dean, let's just say that, there have been injury concerns in the past. So just pay attention to it, because if one of those guys does go down with some type of injury, you're going to have to see that depth at cornerback tested very, very quickly. So that's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts and opinions about the players that I named down in the comment section below. Who are some other guys that you're going to be paying attention to? Let me know. One more shout out to Sleeper for being the proud sponsor of this channel. And as always, guys, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.